So Mo, you brought us on nicely to the discussion around the 7Ps of marketing. So perhaps you could explain that for our viewers.
Oh, right. Really. Well, a nice thing, everyone can have a little sleep now. So this question. So the 7Ps basically is just a piece of old common sense of, everyone loves alliterative things. So they are, 7 words beginning with the word P. But actually, ironically, on the year I was born, 1960, the 4Ps kind of first came out as a piece of academia about basic marketing, as much of the things that we talk about. And I'm trying to think. I'm now looking back. Yeah, the 4Ps. There we go. So forgive me if I now start looking down because my old memory is not good enough to remember all of these things. But so your 4Ps were product, place, price, and promotion. So I won't explain what they are because we'll now move on to what the 7Ps are, which was basically just recognizing as we moved from the 1960s, which was from a sales and marketing point of view, very much a product world. We built things, we made things, we sold things, to the kind of 1980s and 1990s, and we become more of a service-based economy. So actually the 4Ps were a little bit limiting, and 3 other Ps come in. But I'll save the big reveal so as we go through them rather than give it all away now. Bit of jeopardy sitting in there. So a quick buzz through. So what are the 7Ps? So product is the first one. So that's basically anything you're going to sell, and that can be a physical product or a service or even an experience. If you're a tourist business, the blue badges walking around London, giving it, they're selling an experience, and as well as a service. So obviously, as we go through the other 6Ps, and a bit like that lean canvas we talked about, there's a whole mix and a blend of these things, and that's what the 7Ps are about. It's not that you got to do all 7 the same way over all 7 bits. It's how do you mix all these, like a recipe? How do you make the optimum recipe to make the best whatever as you want to be? But it's got to start with product, because that is why you've got out there to solve this problem. You've created something as a product that's going to do. So absolutely, that is the prime number one. Yeah, place is the second. So place is, again, quite literally, geographically, where am I? What street corner am I going to stand on to go and sell? What am I doing? Or now, obviously, why this thing evolved out. I was in selling services. At the time when this would have been rewritten, it would have still been direct mail, direct marketing, sending letters to people to do stuff. But you're in a kind of start of a virtual world. Definitely now, with online selling and online retail and online services, you're in a virtual world. So what is your place in the world, and how do you conceptualize that place that you're now gonna take that out, and that gets you then thinking about distribution and that side of it. How do I get it into that place and to put in? So that's your second P. So price. Price is an obvious one. We've just spoken a little bit about that in the previous question that sat in there, and that's just the price point. I will do some proper reading on this one because I think there's some concepts of pricing which are very important to understand. But broadly, it's how do I, the price is just going to be the equation of it covers my costs of production. I have enough of a profit that gives me a return on my investment in creating this thing, but actually it is a price point that creates a value chain and delight for the customer that you want to sell to, so they feel like they're getting value for money, kind of requisite to the price that you're paying. So just to unpack some different concepts of pricing. So there's a kind of a thing called price skimming. So you start off selling high, but then as you sell more and more, you can bring all your costs down. So you gradually reduce the cost over a period of time. Just think kind of probably new technologies. Everyone wants an iPhone, whatever it is, the iPhone 4000 or whatever the current version is. They'll pay a premium to get that. But when the 5,000 comes in, the 4,000s are still there, and the price starts balancing out and coming down. So price skimming sits in there. Competition-based pricing, just spoken about that. You watch any supermarket, we're a penny cheaper than Sainsbury's. There's actually a classic that sits out there. Economy pricing, so you've got a low value price point, Poundland, for example, or Argos, or somewhere like that operates that way. The opposite side of it, of course, is then premium pricing. So I'm going to go the other way. You are going to pay 20% more because I am what I am, and you are buying a luxury from me that you can't get anywhere else. But that obviously demands a very high attention to how you're going to, your brand and how you market and take that thing to business. Value-based pricing. So value being, what is the value my customer is placing on it? So there is no actual price point. It's a value chain. So I'm happy to pay you £1,000 to get an hour of Johnny's time because you're worth every penny of that. You're happy to pay £50 of my time because I'm worth every second of that. And it's kind of, there's a customer perception of value that you can sell against. And again, if we think about phones, Apple and brands in that world, Apple have been the absolute king of that because people walk into Apple stores already with their wallet out because they're just fans and advocates of Apple, and we will explore why that happens in a second. But they walk into that and they just want to buy it, and the price, they can't even hear the price; they can just see shiny toy, please buy me, please buy me. There's my credit card, I've bought it, and there's the aspiration behind, but they believe there's a value to that. And one really important one is in fact, there's two ways you can describe it: kind of cost plus pricing, or there is a concept called activity-based costing, so ABC. And basically what that is, you're pricing up from a cost of production to build in your profit margin and all those other acquisition costs. So that's the truest, purest cost, because you know it's cost you X to make it. You need to make Y to cover the overheads of your business. You need to put Z on top of that because that's your profit margin. The analogy is have that lovely television that you got sitting behind you, sits in there. So that really is that pure base. I would hazard, again, for those watching this, those other methodologies, if you're in a production environment, are better, other than the fact you've got to cover the cost of production. But actually, if you're in the service industry, this activity-based becomes really important because there are many direct and indirect costs and tangible and intangible costs to your business. So having it that way, you can look right across the business, right across the value chain and the operation chain in the business to say, right, I've got to cover these costs, and these costs are going to change because as we grow the business, I now have to employ 5 more people, so I know what the cost is. So you start forward costing. Apologies for the accountancy lesson sitting on that one. So number 4, sitting in that, was promotion. So that's obviously quite how you're selling it, how you're promoting it. You're selling direct to an audience. You're giving flyers down the street, you're putting adverts on the tube line, you're going online and doing stuff there. So again, we don't, other than the fact of just really researching where your audience is, I don't think there's too much more to say about that. Next one is physical evidence. So you don't do anything on a whim and a wish. Again, in the old proverbs, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. You've got to be able to measure what you're doing. You've got to see and be honest where you're making weight or when you're losing weight on the other side of it, and be able to both evidence it and objectively decide on the back of it. Big failure in most entrepreneurs because we all get so bloody excited about what we're doing that we just go running off at a pace, and we don't sometimes just pause, stop, break, evidence, am I in the right place? And you can then, if you don't feel you're quite in the right place, that constancy of doing that means you can just take a slight step to the left or the right to get back to where you want to be. If you don't do it, you suddenly realize I'm in completely the wrong postcode now. I don't even know how to get back to where I was before. So massively important to do that. People is the next one, and that is absolutely fundamental. A business is no good without the right people being in it. And we could spend hours about people and leadership and the balance of teams and everything else. But you as the founder of the business, you've got your belief as you're starting that business. If you do have other people coming along, and this could be paid and unpaid. This isn't about employing people. It's the people you choose to take advice from, your mum, so that you've got the right people around you that are making the right decisions. But actually, I keep doing this as I'm talking about it because it is a circle, and it's all of those little segments of people coming together to be a whole. The business is its own whole, And it's the sum of those people, their intellect, their feelings, their emotions, their desire, their ability to stay on the same bus as you are as the owner, that will become very defining to how you grow and make that business successfully. And again, making sure we keep a marketing lens on that actually those that are going out are representing what you want to be represented about the business and are speaking of the business as you would expect it to be spoken to. And it's a much maligned part, particularly of small businesses, and people forget about the power of brand marketing, going to market, and they just kind of just fall into places, and reputationally that can become very uncertain and can often take a lot of unstitching. And that's because you've not really thought about the people on the bus with you. Are they the right people? Are they beneficial, or are they slightly toxic? And that does change. So I think it's a different conversation. For the great hope that all of the people looking at this, they started with the one person. They've now got 100 people leading a team of 100 people, is of course vastly different than when you got 1, 2, 3, 4 small collective sitting in there. And the final one on there is process. So that's really about how are we taking this out to customers? How are we building this out? Have we got the right processes sitting in there, as in we're most efficient in acquiring the customers we want? Are we looking after those customers? Do we really care about them? How bought in and emotionally connected to us are they? And again, from a marketing standpoint, those happy customers, and particularly in a world of kind of democratized rating of products and services, calling people out on social media and the word of mouth type stuff, building customer advocacy, so building ambassadors and fans, back to the Apple conversation, that is so important. And in a marketing point of view, really look after those customers, because you've worked hard to get them in the first place. You've hopefully worked hard and given them a good customer experience. So they get things like online selling, if people are doing that. The way your site lays out the journey through the checkout procedure, whatever. Hearing the feedback, not getting angry when someone tells you they don't like you, but actually finding out, why don't you like me? How can I put that right? So proper old-fashioned customer service, which, and I'm not going to get old and grumpy, I think is a lost art in many domains now. It's the computer says no mentality that sits out there. They build the fans, but that's all done by understanding the whole process and the value touch points in that process as you go through that cycle with your customers. And then all of these things, all 7 of those P's are organic. So it's not a do once and forget. It's a good habit, and it's a good habit that you've got to keep coming. So again, others may say it on their conversations with you, Johnny, but we all say it in our things. As the business owners, we do really well when we're working on the business, not in the business. So having those right people, the right processes, everything else gives you that chance to step back and think, right, I need to tweak this bit. I need to turn that bit off. That bit doesn't work anymore. Why are we not doing that bit? And that's a real skill and art. That was a very long answer, so I apologize. Thank you for the 4 people still awake. Enjoy everyone else. Hope you enjoyed the net.